morning, my friends. It's your old pal, Jordan the Lion. How are you doing today? Great! Glad to hear it. Well, you probably noticed I'm wearing a pair of the Kurt Cobain style sunglasses. Well, not a Kurt Cobain vlog today, but we are doing a special sunglass vlog for Robert Yeager. And since Robert lives in Seattle, and these are Kurt Cobain glasses, I thought, you know, let's use these. And the vlog today is about something that was known for its fashion. And so I thought, hey, probably a nice pairing. So we're gonna take Ja to Lake Hollywood Park to start the day, let him play. He's been really rambunctious first thing in the morning already. He's been fighting me and like clawing at me and wanting to mess around. So means he needs to go out and run out some of this energy. And then I'm gonna take us over to pretty much like a block away from where I worked for many years over in Beverly Hills. We're gonna do a Charlie's Angels vlog today, or as it was originally called, the Alley Cats. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. We have arrived. Kinda empty today. There's a couple of dogs hanging out over there. We'll see if he wants to go play. So my plan for the vlog today was to take you to not just one, but two of the locations they used for the Townsend agency. Charlie Townsend agency. So we'll be going to, one is up off Sunset Boulevard, and then one of them is on Robertson. Now what's kind of funny about Charlie's Angels is that when it was originally pitched in the Beverly Hills Hotel at a breakfast to ABC, the two executives they pitched it to said, "That's the worst idea I've ever heard." And then eventually when it was finally green lit, a couple of months later, they had written a script for it, represented it, and they came back and they got them to make a pilot. Once it went on TV, it was a major success, and all of the critics hated it. Hi. Hi. Can't be bothered. Go get him, Ja. Look at him chase. Wrong way, Ja. And I'm also thinking that in between the two agencies when we go, we're gonna be right by the old FRANKS. It's now a Mel's Diner, is over by the first one. Maybe I'll pop in there and have a bite to eat so you guys can see what FRANKS looks like, because Scott Michael said it really hasn't changed since, you know, back when basically the whole layout and everything is the same as it always was. So kind of cool. I'd like to check it out. I haven't eaten there in probably 7-8 years, so, and it was pretty good when I went, so looking forward to it. Chief, you ready to go? Goodbye. All right, we're out of here. No access to the Hollywood sign. So right here off of Sunset Plaza Drive, you can see the sign indicator right there was one of the locations they used for the Townsend agency, where Charlie Townsend had hired these girls away that were going to be police officers and turned them into detectives. Now the show itself, like I mentioned, they thought it was a bad idea at first, and then they wrote a script for it, represented it to ABC, and ABC was all for it. However, one of the problems was that they wanted the original producers of this, Aaron Spelling and Len Goldberg, really wanted this to be like a female-dominated show. In fact, they didn't want any men involved. They wanted this to be a show that they showed that they didn't need men. And originally the network was saying, no, 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 we want that. So they had written in a part for David Ogden Stiers, who was going to be basically the man who at the end of every episode would come in and bail out Charlie's Angels. But like I said, originally it was going to be called the Alley Cats. So what ended up happening was, once the network had approved it, they said, well, first we want you to change the name of the show. And the way that they originally had named it, the Alley Cats, was the three girls were going to be named Allison, Lee, and Catherine. So they said, okay, well, what are we going to come up with for a new show? Because instead of it being Charlie, their boss was actually named Harry in the original script. So they were all sitting around kind of pulling ideas, and this show, when they originally pitched it, it was to be a starring vehicle for Kate Jackson. And so Kate Jackson was there, and she had been on Aaron Spelling's show before, The Rookies. Got a ton of fan mail there, so they said, okay, this is going to be her show. She was there, she looked up at a painting and saw that there were angels there, and she said, how about that? Why don't we call it The Angels? And so then the show became known as Harry's Angels. But at the time, there was a show already on called Harry O, and they thought that that was a little too confusing and a little too similar, so then they changed it to what would become Charlie's Angels. So next would come casting. They would have to find who were going to be these angels. They knew Kate Jackson was going to be the first angel. She was going to be the smart angel, but they wanted a classic California beauty, Malibu type girl that was athletic and gorgeous and stylish and just kind of woman that every man envisioned when they thought of California. So they went with Texas native Farrah Fawcett Majors, and this would kind of present a problem as well a little bit later down the line. The third part was that they wanted a redhead to be the third actress, and in the end they ended up just getting rid of that idea and would go on with Jacqueline Smith, and those would be the three that would become Charlie's Angels. Now, once the show debuted, it was a massive success, huge success, and Farrah Fawcett became the love of this show. Even though it was supposed to be Kate Jackson's show, everyone loved Farrah, and that famous pin-up poster had come out, and Farrah, basically, she loved the fashion sense of what was going on in France and Paris at the time. And so when they did this show, they decided that they wanted it to be very stylish. They wanted to spend a lot of money on how good the girls looked in the show. And so they really had, like, I believe it was $25,000 per episode to dress the girls. And they went all out. And since Farrah really liked the Paris designs of women wearing no bra, she decided to quit wearing a bra. And this show would then be titled by its critics as called the Jiggly Show, or Jiggly Television, because every time they ran you would see a lot of jiggling, and they knew that that's what men were tuning in for. In fact, fashion became such a big part of the show that Farrah and Jacqueline Smith would both spend their Saturdays, a lot of times when they weren't filming, down on Rodeo Drive just window shopping, looking for what they would tell their stylist they wanted to wear on Monday. And this, eventually they would keep doing this, and the more popular the show got, the more and more people would surround them, to where it was like rock stars. Everywhere they went, they were mobbed by a huge group of people. And this would be, you know, they would be criticized for this because in the producers and the actresses' minds, they were doing a show that was all female driven. It was empowering women for future television. There had never been a show like that. There had always been at least one man that they relied on to help out or help get them out of trouble. And this was a show that was kind of presented as an action adventure drama, but was really also a comedy, and a lot of people that were reviewing it didn't get that it was a comedy. Now, one of the problems was that towards the end of the first season, they had so many great moments that this show was huge. In fact, they had done one where it was called Angels in Chains, and the girls get locked up and go to jail, and that was such a highly viewed episode that the network was actually rerunning it all the time, capitalizing on it. That once the first season ended, there was a rumor that Farrah wasn't going to come back. They had all signed 5-year contracts, but Farrah was kind of hinting that she might not be back. And when one of the other actors said, "Please tell me you're coming back next year," and she said, "Would you hate me if I don't?" So what they said, the reason that Farrah wanted to leave wasn't that she was unhappy, it's just that she wanted to be a movie star. She wanted to go make movies. And then announced that she was gonna leave. And part of the other problem that a lot of people say was her husband, Lee Majors. Lee Majors was a huge star at the time, making 50 grand a week. Farrah was making 5, and when he married Farrah, he wanted a wife. And they said that he even had put in her contract that she got to leave the studio to go make him dinner because he wanted a wife that was gonna make him dinner every night. And they said, you know, the way he looked at it was that their combined income for the family was $55,000 a week. 50 of that was coming from him, and he wasn't happy. So that was the other speculation as to why Farrah was gonna leave. But the producers, Len Goldberg and Aaron Spelling, even tried to work with her and went to Columbia Pictures and got her what they agreed to be would be a 3-script deal, that she would be totally welcome to participate in the ideas and that they would be made and everything, and it would be all guaranteed. And she still turned it down, and they had to finally just acquiesce and let her go after just 1 season. Now, one of the things that was so interesting about this show also was that their boss, Charlie, is a man that we would never actually see his face. Sometimes we would see him from the back, sitting in a chair or some other situation, but we would only ever hear his voice. And that man, that voice was John Forsythe. And John Forsythe actually requested not to be credited in the credits, and it wasn't because he was ashamed of the show or anything, but he just thought that would add to the mystery of the concept of Charlie never needing to be seen. So, at the end of the first season, we now lost the biggest star of the show. The producers didn't know what would happen, but they wanted to continue on. And would it be a success or would it not be? How would they handle it? We'll go to the next location after we eat lunch, and we'll pick up the story where season 2 begins and the story of Charlie's Angels. Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know they put a Wahlburgers here. I was just telling Brooke I wanted to try that out at some point. So we're just heading about a block away from where we were just filming, and we're gonna hit Ben Frank's like I mentioned. Well, it's called Mel's Diner now, but it was the old Ben Frank's. Now, like I said, I never make it over this direction for when I'm eating meals or anything, but I've eaten here before and I love it. And all over Sunset they have these guitars. This one's the Cyndi Lauper guitar, you can see right out front. Alright, let's go check it out. One of the Ben Frank stories that you may know that I've mentioned before is that when they were casting for the Monkees, that was part of their description, was they were looking for Ben Frank types. Kind of like the counterculture people that would hang out here. Check out the back of the guitar. Alright, let's check out the menu, guys. That actually looks pretty good, this short rib grilled cheese. And Mel's Drive-In might sound familiar because of this. American Graffiti. Yeah, I think I've decided I'm gonna go for that short rib grilled cheese right there. And of course the coffee. I felt like because of the old school topic today, eating here would kind of be appropriate. You definitely cannot beat the music here. It's all like 50s and 60s music. Awesome, there it is. I went ahead and got with what I exactly said I was going to, the short rib grilled cheese. Oh man, that is really good. They give you a little bit of horseradish here, so I put that on there. It's great. If I'm being honest, the potato salad's not all that great. It's a little bland for my taste, but everything else is great. I noticed they had these pink Cadillacs up here, so I asked the waitress, I said, do you mind if I ask what those are all about? She said, those are for kids' meals. That's how they serve their kids' meal. That's classic. Alright, good stuff, I'm done. I ate at a table, but you can do the lunch counter too. Probably more old school that way. So with Farrah Fawcett leaving, the producers would decide they wanted Cheryl Ladd. Except Cheryl Ladd didn't want to be on Charlie's Angels and turned it down. So how did they get Cheryl Ladd to agree to be in Charlie's Angels? I'll tell you when we get over there. And our next stop is on Robertson from Beverly Hills. You can see the trees have grown up quite a bit in front of it, but this was where the Charles Townsend Private Investigations building was, the second location. Let's go over there a little closer and take a look. The front of it looks significantly different, but not completely different. Those red awnings weren't there. That's the same doorway. So on some of those close-up scenes, right next to the door, right over there where the light fixture and the flagpole would have been, is where the, right there, it would have been private investigation sign. Now, what they decided to do, like I mentioned, Farrah Fawcett was so popular that even her hairstyle was known as the Farrah, and that was her hairstyle before she even came into the show. So once she was leaving and they wanted Cheryl Ladd to take over, Cheryl didn't necessarily want to do it because Cheryl said she had worked too hard and too long to be taken seriously as an actress, and she didn't want to be the person that came in and was responsible for ruining Charlie's Angels trying to replace Farrah. So the producers really wanted Cheryl, and they said, what would it take to change your mind? And she said, well, for one thing, I want to be funny, I don't want to be serious, I want to be able to, you know, be relatable to people. And so what they decided to do, and what was a brilliant idea, was they said, instead of competing against Farrah, we'll make it, you know, something very similar. And so what they did was they made Cheryl Ladd Jill Monroe's kid sister, Chris Monroe. Jill Monroe was Farrah Fawcett's character. They said they would bring her in and she would basically be the new Charlie's Angel who was allowed to make mistakes on the show, because then people could relate to it. You know, she was just out of the academy and wouldn't be perfect, and it would add a whole new element to the show. And to her credit, it did, because not only did it make the ratings go up, believe it or not, but for the 2 years following that, until Kate Jackson left, the show was riding high at the top of the charts for the ratings and everything. The Nielsen ratings were great, and Cheryl's singing career was revitalized. She got to put out more albums, and yeah, nobody ever disliked Cheryl. So when the show really took a hit was basically when Kate Jackson said that she wanted to leave. It was 3 seasons in out of the 5. It had started in 1976, and basically she just said that she wanted to do movies, had been offered Meryl Streep's part in Kramer vs. Kramer, and because of her filming schedule with Charlie's Angels, she had to turn it down. And then Meryl Streep had won an Academy Award for it, so they ended up replacing her with Cheryl Hack. And after 1 season, she wasn't working out, so then they brought in Tanya Roberts, and at the end of the 5th season, they just decided to end Charlie's Angels once and for all. So during the filming of this, or at least what they used for the facade, those windows right here would not have been here. They would have been more like those windows up top. But that is the same archway that we would have seen, and I'll have pictures throughout here to match it all up. And you can even see a 193 as the address in those pictures that I post. Charlie's Angels set a whole new standard for television in its day. An all-female cast, the amazing beauty that they captured on screen, the whole jiggly era of television, just so much changed with this show, only lasting 5 short seasons. But the producer said it's always kind of puzzling when people recount that they, in their minds, they believe that Farrah was there for most of the series when actually she was only there for just 1 season. Now the pilot itself was a Charlie's Angels movie, but they never really made a movie with the cast after that. They did bring it back in 2000s with a whole new group of girls. And unfortunately Farrah Fawcett has passed on, so there will never be able to be a reunion of any sorts with the original first 3. So since we're in the neighborhood, I'm also going to take you guys over and match up another photo. I haven't been able to figure out how to do a vlog on it, so this will be the perfect way just to match up the photo. So here's our intersection. The street signs that used to be on the other side of the street that could match up this photo aren't there anymore, but I'm going to show you a photo that's going to crack you up. It's actually right here. Back in the day when it would have been taken, they would have had a street sign right here that said Swall in Charlieville, and there would have been a mailbox right here. And right here is exactly where that photo was taken of Cary Grant walking his Siamese cat on a leash. And you can tell this is exactly where it is because even though this shrubbery right here wasn't here in the day when this photo was taken, if you look over it, you can see the same archway that's in that photo. Right there in the background. This is the same exact house. And what's kind of cool is if you look, it has like a reindeer on the weather vane. But yeah, it's the same house that's in the background of that photo. So that photo right there is right there. Alright guys, so I feel like I should address something. I have been getting a lot of questions on YouTube wanting to know more about my girlfriend, how we met, all that stuff. I'm not going to be answering any of that. Our life together is our personal business. I was just introducing her on the vlog because, frankly, I want her in the video. Like, I want, down the line, I want her in my memories. I want her in my diaries of vlogging, and so that's why I did it. As far as anything about her personal life stuff, I've found out far too many times on YouTube that people just cannot respect boundaries. They just cannot. People both that hate me and want to cause trouble, and people that claim to like me just can't quit interfering and butting into things. So that's just one of those things. What I post will be what I post, and like I said, I just will not be answering questions or telling any more or doing anything like that. It'll just be literally like whatever I decide to put in the vlog is what I'm going to put in for her safety and her personal life. Hope you guys can all understand and respect that. Sweet! Got some mail from Merch 5. I asked them to send me a few things. Awesome, perfect. I asked them to send me a couple of beanies because I wanted to give a few people some. I want to give Eric Singer one. I want to have a backup because mine's getting kind of filthy. Give one to Amy, and then I wanted to give one of those shirts to Vern Wood. Vern really liked that one, and he's been with me since the very beginning, so I'm gonna hook him up with that. And one of the vlog that's for me in black with me and Breck and Jaw here. See a little Jaw up there. Thanks for always hooking me up, Merch 5. You guys, I mean, as soon as I ask for anything, it's here like 2 days later. Thank you so much. All right, everyone, we are gonna call it a night. I hope you all enjoyed this vlog on the original, the only Charlie's Angels, in my opinion. When I could remember from probably the earliest days of being in my grandma's house, my mom and my aunt were both fans of Charlie's Angels, and my aunt always had a Farrah Fawcett glass that she always drank out of, so that's a very vivid memory in my mind, is how important Farrah was in pop culture. And so I just thought, you know, let's do that today. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and you know, thank you for respecting my wishes about my my relationship. And like I said, there will be things that will be in the vlogs, and we'll kind of reveal things as they come about. We have a cool vlog tomorrow. Nobody knows what's going on, including the person I'm taking. It's a big surprise, but you guys are going to love it. It's going to be a blast, and if you've ever seen The Cable Guy, you might know what we're going to do tomorrow. Have a great night. Goodbye.